Welcome back. Today, we're diving into this fascinating, honestly kind of hidden ecosystem that literally powers global commerce. We're talking about distribution management. I mean, think about this. Logistics and distribution make up roughly 10% of global GDP. 10%. It's this massive, invisible machinery running behind the scenes every single time you tap Buy Now. Without it, the modern economy would just grind to a complete halt.
Okay, let's dive into this. Take a quick second to look at whatever device you're watching this on right now. A smartphone, a tablet, your laptop. How did it actually get into your hands? Because, spoiler alert, it didn't just magically teleport from a factory floor to your living room. It went on this highly coordinated, wild global journey. We're talking ships, trucks, massive warehouses, and thousands of unseen workers. And today, we are mapping out that exact journey.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll map out the broader distribution ecosystem, then meet the heavyweights, wholesalers versus retailers. After that, we'll look at the sheer power of location, navigate through some inevitable channel conflicts, and wrap the whole thing up with strategies for retail success.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the distribution ecosystem, moving the goods. Because before we can really dig into the specific players, we need to establish the what and the why of this massive network.
So, by definition, distribution management is the process of planning, organizing, and controlling the movement of products from the manufacturer directly to the final customer. But here's the ultimate goal, the so what you really need to remember. It is all about delivering products at the right place, at the exact right time, in the right quantity, and, crucially, at the lowest possible cost. It's basically the ultimate high-wire active business. If you overspend on, say, overnight shipping just to get it there early, well, your costs skyrocket and your profit margins vanish. But if you skimp on inventory to save a few bucks, shelves sit empty and you've got some seriously angry customers. When a business actually masters this balancing act, they dramatically boost customer satisfaction and slash operational costs. That's a massive competitive edge.
And this brilliantly illustrates the actual path those products take, the supply chain flow. Let's imagine a simple cotton t-shirt. It all starts with the supplier, right? They harvest the raw cotton and ship it off. Then, the manufacturer gets that cotton, weaves it, dyes it, stitches the actual shirt together, and passes it to the wholesaler. Now, the wholesaler is buying tens of thousands of these shirts at once. They distribute them regionally to the retailer, who ultimately hangs, maybe 10 of them on a rack and sells just one to you, the final customer. Every single member in this chain has a highly specific job. They literally have to work together perfectly to keep the goods flowing from the dirt to your wardrobe.
Which brings us to Section 2, Wholesaling versus Retailing, the heavyweight matchup. We're going to take a closer look at the two specific intermediaries doing the real heavy lifting here. They both move products, for sure, but they are playing entirely different games.
Here's the direct contrast. Wholesaling is strictly a business-to-business or B2B activity. They're buying products in massive bulk quantities directly from manufacturers and selling them to retailers or institutions. They really don't deal with the general public. Think of a giant restaurant supply warehouse selling 50-pound bags of flour or boxes with literally 1,000 forks in them. Retailing, on the flip side, is B2C, business to consumer. This is your local grocery store or that cool neighborhood boutique. Retailers buy from those wholesalers, break those giant bulk pallets down into individual items, and sell them directly to you for personal use. Their whole focus is on creating a convenient, pleasant shopping experience.
But, despite those big differences, both wholesalers and retailers are absolutely vital. They aren't just blindly passing boxes along a conveyor belt. They add serious value. They take on the massive headaches of storage and transportation, so the manufacturer doesn't have to. They manage crazy complex inventory so shelves don't go empty. They physically distribute goods across huge geographic areas, and they even handle local marketing and promotion. Together, they bridge this massive gap between one single factory and millions of scattered customers. It makes the whole market so much more efficient.
Moving right along to Section 3, the power of location, setting up shop. Let's talk about where these players actually build their habitats. Because for a retailer especially, location is hands down the single most critical factor for survival.
So the crucial point is that choosing a location is way more than just finding an empty building with cheap rent. Retailers have to meticulously weigh a bunch of specific factors to guarantee foot traffic and visibility. They're looking at population size and demographics. You need to know your target audience actually lives nearby, right? They analyze local income levels, scope out the competition, and balance how easy it is to get there against what the rent costs. It's a highly calculated formula driven by market demand. Setting up a high-end luxury boutique in an area with low foot traffic and incompatible income levels, yeah, that is a fast track to bankruptcy no matter how incredible the stuff inside might be.
And the secret weapon they use to crack that formula is called trade area analysis. This is a rigorous process of studying the exact geographic area a store expects to pull its shoppers from. And today, it's wild. Businesses aren't just looking at basic zip codes anymore. They're using incredibly sophisticated tools like anonymized mobile phone data and heat maps to track exact foot traffic patterns and driving times. By running this analysis, they can estimate their true market potential and make absolutely sure their spot is visible, easy to get to, and super convenient for the people actually looking to spend money.
Now, in any ecosystem where different species interact, there's going to be some friction. That brings us to Section 4, Channel Conflict, Ecosystem Drama. We're looking at what happens when players in our distribution channel clash over competing interests.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks down the two main types of conflict that can totally derail the system. First, you've got horizontal conflict. This is basically a turf war between businesses at the exact same level of the supply chain. Think of two local franchises of the same fast food joint arguing over overlapping delivery zones and stealing each other's customers. Then, you've got vertical conflict. This one is a chain of command issue between different levels. Imagine a huge brand, like Nike, getting into a massive dispute with a retailer like Foot Locker over how their shoes are being displayed, or maybe arguing over aggressive discount pricing.
If that conflict is left unresolved, it completely paralyzes distribution. Products get delayed, costs spike, and honestly, the ultimate loser is always the customer. So to restore harmony, these players can't just cross their fingers and hope for the best. They have to actively manage these relationships. This means demanding transparent, open communication. It requires setting crystal clear roles so nobody's stepping on anyone's toes, using active negotiation to find compromises, and committing to long-term partnerships built on actual trust instead of just chasing a quick buck.
Which brings us to our final section, Retail Success Strategies, Thriving in the Market. We've mapped the ecosystem, met the players, navigated the drama. Now let's look at the ultimate playbook for how a retail store actually survives and thrives over the long haul.
To really win in retail today, businesses have to fire on all cylinders all at once. It starts with highly effective inventory management, having the right products exactly when they're needed without tying up all your cash in overstock. You pull that off by building ironclad relationships with your suppliers. Then you wrap all of that in customer-focused operations, making sure the shopper's experience is always the #1 priority. You also need a relentless focus on data-driven decision-making. We're talking leveraging actual sales metrics, not just going with your gut feeling. And finally, continuous adaptation. The market shifts literally every single day. The retailers who refuse to adapt to new trends in tech, well, they're the ones who quietly disappear.
So, to summarize our core takeaway here, distribution management really is the invisible hand guiding everyday commerce. A thriving distribution ecosystem seamlessly connects the right products to the right people with perfect efficiency. Every single time you buy something, whether it's a cup of coffee or a brand new car, you are experiencing the final step of a massive, meticulously planned journey.
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. We've talked all about how products actually get to the store and why that store is located where it is. But what happens once you actually walk through those front doors? Next time you're out shopping, I want you to ask yourself, how are the store's physical layout, the lighting, the displays, subtly manipulating your purchasing decisions without you even realizing it? We'll uncover the fascinating psychology behind store design next time. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.